They say a mother's love is unconditional. They say you'd give the shirt off your back for your child. I did. I gave everything. My savings, my time, my future, and my heart. But on my 65th birthday, my own daughter proved that she saw me not as a mother, but as a resource that was slowly running dry. The truth shattered my world, and it forced me to ask a terrible question. Do I sacrifice my dignity for my daughter's comfort, or do I save myself? This is the story of how I chose to save myself, and the shocking consequences that followed. My name is Eleanor. I am 72 years young, and for nearly 50 years, my life was a relentless echo of a promise I made to a crying toddler. You will never be without. That promise began after my husband, Daniel, left us with nothing but debt and a quickly fading memory when my only child, Sarah, was just 4. I worked 3 jobs, one at a textile factory during the day, cleaning offices at night, and sewing custom dresses on the weekends. My hands still bear the calluses of that sacrifice. I didn't mind the work. Every aching muscle, every sleepless night was an investment into Sarah's future. When she graduated from an elite university, I didn't just attend. I felt like I graduated with her. I had paid every single dime, often going without basic necessities myself. That day, she hugged me tight and whispered, "Mom, you are my hero. I owe you everything." I believed her. That belief was my security blanket, my information gap of hope. I thought I knew where I stood, but life has a cruel way of revealing the truth. The shift began subtly. First, it was the small loans for emergencies. A leaky roof, a broken-down car, the kids' school fees. I always gave freely and immediately, because that's what mothers do. Then the loans stopped being loans. They became expectations. The most painful thing was seeing my love misinterpreted as weakness, and my boundless generosity perceived as dependency. They saw an old woman who needed them, not a powerful, self-made woman who was intentionally holding back a substantial secret wealth. The illusion finally cracked when Sarah and her husband, Mark, bought their dream home. They were short on the down payment by $30,000. I sold the only valuable asset I had left, a small piece of land inherited from my grandfather, and gave them the full amount. "You're a lifesaver, Mom," Mark told me, but the relief in his eyes was quickly replaced by entitlement. They didn't even insist on signing a formal document. And I, the foolish, loving mother, didn't ask for one. The financial sacrifice was nothing compared to the emotional wound that was about to open. My 65th birthday arrived, and I was excited. This was the first milestone birthday since Sarah became financially stable. I expected a family dinner, perhaps a small trip, or at least a genuine attempt at celebrating the woman who had made their stability possible. Instead, I got a text message from Sarah at noon. "Happy birthday, Mom. So sorry, we're swamped with Mark's promotion dinner tonight. The kids send hugs. Call you tomorrow." It was a sharp, sudden blow. The realization that they could be swamped on my milestone birthday, after all I had done, sent me spiraling. Later that evening, my loneliness became unbearable, so I did what any desperate mother would do. I drove by their house. The house was blazing with light. Expensive cars lined the street. But it wasn't Mark's promotion dinner. It was a lavish, catered party, a surprise birthday party for Mark's mother, Brenda. Brenda, who had been a passive-aggressive critic of my parenting for years and had never lifted a finger to help Sarah. The bitter irony of the scene was a dagger to my heart. My sacrifice was invisible. Brenda's passive support was celebrated. I sat in my old sedan across the street, watching them toast Brenda, who looked radiant and smug. I realized that my presence was actively unwanted. I wasn't just forgotten. I was deliberately excluded. I was the silent provider, the emotional ATM, always available to solve their financial problems, but deemed too embarrassing to be seen with. That night, I didn't just cry. I grieved the loss of the loving daughter I thought I had raised. The next morning, I woke up with a chilling clarity. The sense of entitlement had become a heavy burden on my soul. That was the day I initiated the change of my will. For years, I had maintained a significant hidden estate. Not a vast fortune, but enough to ensure my complete independence for life and leave a substantial legacy. This wealth came from an old family trust that matured when I turned 65, a secret I had meticulously guarded. My family believed I lived entirely on my modest pension. They believed I was fragile. They believed I was theirs to control. They were wrong. I called my lawyer, Mr. Thompson. He was shocked. "Eleanor, are you sure Sarah is your only daughter?" "Mr. Thompson," I said, my voice firm and steady, devoid of emotion, "I am absolutely certain. I want a new will drafted immediately. My daughter and son-in-law are to be completely removed. All assets are to be placed into an irrevocable trust." I told him the new beneficiary, the Eleanor's Choice Foundation, a foundation I decided to establish right there on the spot, dedicated to helping seniors who are genuinely alone, without the support of their immediate family. This was my ultimate act of self-love. The process of revoking a 20-year-old will is tedious, but the financial cutoff was immediate. I changed my bank accounts, canceled the emergency credit card attached to my savings, and immediately stopped the small but regular gift contributions I made towards their mortgage payments. Sarah and Mark noticed the change within 2 weeks. The first call was from Mark. His tone was casual, practiced, masking a deep anxiety. "Hey, Eleanor, just checking in. Say, did you notice a little glitch with the automatic transfer? The mortgage payment was a little light this month, you know." "Oh, Mark," I replied, my voice sweet but distant. "That little glitch was me. I've stopped sending those monthly contributions." A stunned silence followed. "Stopped? Why? Is everything all right? Are you feeling okay, Mom?" "Never been better, Mark. I decided it was time for you two to stand on your own 2 feet." He stammered, his facade crumbling. But we need that. We structured our budget around that help. It was just until I get that next bonus, you know." "No, Mark, I don't know," I countered. "I only know that what I gave was a gift, not a contractual obligation. I suggest you restructure your budget immediately." And I hung up. Sarah's call 3 days later was filled with anger, veiled in concern. "How could you do this, Mom? You know how tight money is. You said you'd always be there for us." "And I have been, Sarah, for 3 decades. But you mistook my generosity for weakness. And you mistook my financial security for your right to spend it. Did you structure your budget around Mark's mother's help? No. You only budgeted for mine." "This is blackmail," she yelled, resorting to emotional manipulation. "This is how you teach us a lesson? You're punishing us." "No, my love. This is me teaching myself to value my own life. I realized that the only time you and Mark genuinely connected with me was when you needed money or childcare. I decided I deserve better. I then delivered the line that sealed the emotional deal. I am closing the emotional ATM, Sarah. It's permanently out of service." She hung up, screaming. I felt a pang of sadness, but mostly relief. The heavy burden was finally lifted. The new will was signed, notarized, and locked away. I didn't tell Sarah or Mark about it, but the chilling truth would eventually leak out, as secrets often do in close-knit communities. The leak came from Mr. Thompson's law office, a junior paralegal overhearing a conversation about the unexpected change in Eleanor's will. The rumor spread through our small town of Asheville like wildfire. Eleanor Johnson cut her own daughter out of the will. When the rumor finally reached Sarah, she was devastated. Not by the emotional impact, but by the financial terror. She called me, her voice now dangerously sweet, laced with manufactured tenderness. "Mommy, that rumor about your will, it's just awful. People are so cruel. You know I would never let anything happen to you. We love you so much." I listened patiently. "The rumors are true, Sarah." Another shocked silence. "But," But why, Mom? You've always said everything was for me. All your life's work. Yes, my life's work was for you. And for years you took it. But the legacy I leave behind must be to those who truly honor me. My wealth will now go to the Eleanor's Choice Foundation, a place for seniors who are truly alone and in need. Then came the emotional climax of our relationship. Sarah tried to use my grandkids, my tiniest soft spot, to manipulate me. She brought them over unexpectedly, coaching them to say things like, "Grandma, why did you stop loving Mommy?" And "Grandma, why won't you help us buy a new bike?" I looked at my innocent grandchildren, and a genuine sadness washed over me. I pulled them aside and told them a small, truthful story about boundaries, disguised as a children's fable. "You see, sweeties, Grandma has a garden. For a long time, she watered and fed 2 beautiful roses, your Mommy and Daddy. But they kept taking all the water and never let Grandma get any sunlight. So Grandma decided to plant a beautiful tree in a new garden, where it can get plenty of sunshine and grow tall and strong." I also revealed the existence of the Grandchildren's Trust Fund, a small detail I hadn't yet shared. "And because I love you very, very much, I have set aside a very special treasure chest for you. But you can only open it when you're 25 and you prove that you value our time together, not just the treasure itself." The children were confused, but their innocence was a powerful shield for me. I held my ground. The day I finally left Asheville was the day I truly became free. I sold my old sedan and moved into a charming, newly renovated condo I bought outright on the coast of South Carolina, a place I had secretly dreamed of for decades. I dedicated myself fully to the Eleanor's Choice Foundation, pouring my energy and experience into making it a reality. I established a vibrant community center, and I finally found true meaning and connection by helping seniors who were genuinely lonely and abandoned. I was using my wealth and my wisdom for good. Sarah and Mark's life, meanwhile, began to unravel. Without my constant financial infusion, their extravagant lifestyle quickly became unsustainable. They were forced to sell the dream house, downsize significantly, and Sarah had to take on a second job. They were angry, but they were also forced into a reality check that was long overdue. The greatest irony of all was that the very act of cutting them out became the single most loving and transformative thing I could have done for them. Mark was forced to confront his financial irresponsibility, and Sarah was forced to rebuild her sense of security based on her own work, not her mother's wallet. My life, on the other hand, flourished. I started painting again, a passion I had given up 40 years ago. I joined a book club. I traveled. I discovered a profound and genuine happiness I hadn't realized was possible. The ultimate realization I gained from this whole painful ordeal was this: you teach people how to treat you by what you are willing to accept. For years, I allowed them to treat me like a purse. When I locked the purse, they realized they had lost more than just money. They had lost a mother. Did my relationship with Sarah ever fully recover? Not in the way a daughter owes a mother, but we found a new equilibrium, one based on respect, not obligation, and that is a powerful truth that money could never buy. The public announcement of the Eleanor's Choice Foundation and its beneficiary, not her only daughter, sent a seismic shockwave through our social circle. My lawyer, Mr. Thompson, carefully managed the public documents, ensuring the legitimacy of the trust and the foundation. The community was split. Some called me cruel and heartless. Others hailed me as a champion of self-reliance and independence. The gossip didn't spare Sarah. Suddenly, the neighbors who once admired their beautiful home and expensive cars began to question the source of their wealth. Mark, whose arrogance had always been thinly veiled, became the target of whispers. People remembered my quiet sacrifices, the years I spent babysitting the grandkids for free, the checks I handed over for emergencies that were, in fact, luxuries. The social proof they once enjoyed crumbled. Sarah tried desperately to manage the narrative. She posted vague, emotionally manipulative messages on social media about misunderstandings and a mother's declining memory. But my foundation's work spoke louder. When a local newspaper ran a feature on the Eleanor's Choice Foundation, highlighting its mission to protect seniors from family exploitation, the message was clear. I wasn't senile. I was making a choice. Mark, facing the potential loss of his job due to rumors of financial instability, came to my new condo unannounced. He brought flowers, cheap ones, and a practiced, remorseful expression. "Eleanor," he pleaded, tears welling up, or so he feigned. "I know I messed up. We were selfish. But please think of your grandkids. Don't let your anger punish them. Just put Sarah back in the will. You don't have to give us anything now. Just promise us the future." I poured myself a cup of tea, calm and unshakable. "Mark, the will is irrevocable. It's done. But let's talk about the grandkids. Why are you using them as bargaining chips? If you cared for their future so much, why did you structure your life so dependent on my monthly contributions? You gambled with their stability," he tried to argue, claiming I was being vindictive. "No, Mark. I am being responsible. I am ensuring that my legacy serves a genuine purpose. Your grandchildren are protected in their own trust, a reward for genuine connection, not a bailout for your entitlement." He left defeated, realizing the emotional ATM truly had no more funds for him. My new life in South Carolina was filled with the peace I had spent decades earning. The condo overlooked the Atlantic. I walked on the beach every morning, breathing in the salty air, free from the heavy burden of Sarah's expectations. The greatest joy came from the foundation. Working with seniors who had lost their homes or been forgotten by their families gave me a sense of meaning and purpose I had missed while fulfilling Sarah's needs. My friends now were people like Mrs. Davies, an 80-year-old artist who taught me to paint, and Mr. Chen, a retired professor who discussed politics with me every Tuesday. They saw Eleanor, the vibrant woman with a sharp mind and an interesting past, not Grace, the old lady who confuses recipes. My love for my grandkids remained. I set up a secure video call schedule, once a week, no more, no less. Our calls were filled with genuine laughter, focused only on their school and their dreams, never money. Slowly, gently, the true connection began to heal, a connection built on mutual affection, not financial dependency. The single most powerful lesson I learned, the one I want to pass on to every mother and grandmother watching this, is that no is the most loving word you can say. No to the expectation. No to the entitlement. No to the belief that your worth is tied to your ability to provide financially. When you say no, you force the other person to find their own strength, their own self-reliance. It's terrifying, but it is the ultimate act of Trao Kuyen empowerment. My daughter was finally learning to fly with her own wings, even if the initial flight was bumpy and painful. And I was finally learning that my worth was defined by my own happiness. Years have passed since that Mother's Day card. Sarah and Mark are now living a modest but stable life. They learned the true cost of their entitlement. Sarah occasionally calls me, not with demands, but with genuine updates about the children. She recently admitted, "Mom, I look back and I see how selfish we were. I'm sorry you had to do what you did to make us wake up." It wasn't the full, deep apology I craved, but it was a step toward truth and accountability. My hope is that when the grandchildren turn 25, they will meet the true Eleanor, the warrior, the founder, the independent spirit, not the tired purse holder. The condition on their trust is simple. They must show consistent, genuine contact with me in the 5 years leading up to their 25th birthday. It's a high bar, but it is a necessary boundary. I want to talk to those of you who are watching this, still sitting in that old sedan, watching the party from across the street. You are not a burden. You are a blessing. The moment you realize your love is being monetized, you have a choice. Do not be afraid of the silence. Do not be afraid of the empty house. The fear of being alone is far less painful than the humiliation of being exploited. Your independence is your greatest asset. Reclaim your power. If this story spoke to the quiet fear inside your heart, then you are not alone. My foundation, the Eleanor's Choice, is built for you. Do not let your dignity be your final sacrifice. Beyond the will and the financial cutoff, there were 2 letters I wrote but never sent. The first was to Brenda, Mark's mother. It detailed the exact amount of money I had contributed to Sarah and Mark's life over the years, $67,000, and compared it to Brenda's passive, judgmental presence. I wrote, Brenda, the true wealth is not measured in social standing, but in self-respect. You were invited to the parties, I paid for them. But now, I choose myself. I threw that letter away, realizing that my silence was a more powerful statement. The second letter was to my late husband, Daniel. It was a letter of forgiveness for his abandonment, a realization that his weakness had ultimately forced me to find my own unshakable strength. His departure, though painful, was the catalyst for my independence. I keep that letter in my desk, a reminder that the greatest acts of love are often acts of self-preservation. The legal structure of the Grandchildren's Trust Fund was deliberately complex, designed to enforce a non-monetary relationship. It required a lawyer's annual review and a judge's sign-off, verifying genuine, non-transactional contact with me. This meant that Sarah and Mark could not simply force the kids to call me once a year. The kids had to want to spend time with me, to share their lives freely, knowing I could no longer buy them toys or bail out their parents. This structure transformed the grandchildren's inheritance from a family right into an earned privilege of genuine love. I want to leave you with 3 simple pieces of advice, honed by my 72 years of life. Stop budgeting for their entitlement. Your children are adults. Stop factoring their needs into your retirement planning. Their financial independence is their responsibility. Redefine your worth. Your worth is not your emotional ATM balance. It is defined by your dignity, your choices, and your happiness. Cultivate your passions, your friendships, and your dreams that were put on hold. Draw the line early. The moment you feel disrespected, the moment a gift is treated as a debt or a need is met with annoyance, that is the moment to establish a firm boundary. Do not wait for a Mother's Day card to shock you into action.